weekend. What we believe should happen today is to have all immigration stopped until this country gets back onto its feet, particularly as far as unemployment's concerned, and especially as far as our younger people are concerned, and at the same time get back on our feet economically. The reasoning being, John, is that what is the use of bringing people to this country if we cannot find jobs for the people that are in it already?
In the past, Australia has imported technology in the way of skilled people. You don't see that as being as a benefit to the nation?
You know, I only heard that this morning. As far as I'm personally concerned, I believe that it's Australia's, let's say the fault of government in this country that we do not have those technical experts here with us now. I do say because of their failing in the past that it may be necessary to bring some people in that have special skills. But those days should be over, but if they're not over, let us bring just those few in that we need with special skills, but not open the place, continue to bring immigrants that we can't find jobs for.
This is one of those rare instances of really being on the spot. We were near where the hold-up occurred and saw someone carrying what appeared to be a gun. So we backed up and gave chase. I suggested the news crew get ready to duck and saw that he'd got into a cab. We fortunately were able to wave to a policeman on a motorbike who gave chase, and in a matter of minutes it was all over. This was how the chase went. Cameraman David Trelfo kept the camera rolling from the moment we spotted a man carrying a gun in Railway Street. Taxi? We arrived in Brook Street just in time to see a cab driving off with the man and a young woman in the back seat. But a motorcycle policeman was also in the street.
Get out of the car, quick! I'll drive in first.
As the call went out, police converged on the taxi from all directions and stopped the taxi further along Brook Street. The gunman gave up without a struggle, leaving a sawn-off weapon on the floor of the cab along with a paper bag containing money. The taxi driver, although he was not threatened, was somewhat shaken by the whole experience.
What better reason for the wine to flow than to celebrate the Hunter Valley Wine Society's new premises in Cessnock. Located in Wollongong Road, it opened today for business following improvements to the old Lowe's Wine Saloon costing $300,000. The society now boasts sophisticated wine tasting, purchasing and dining facilities of its own for the first time. The society secured them to establish a centralised base for the Hunter Valley's wineries and vineyards, and they're open to the public. 10 rooms in the refurbished premises will be used to conduct tastings and distribute promotional literature. Dining facilities are also provided, as well as a general bar area. The building also acts as an information centre for visitors to the valley's wineries and vineyards. In more good news for Cessnock and surrounding area today came with the signing of the contract for the building of Stage 1 of Cessnock's first retirement village. The signing took place in East Cessnock Bowling Club before a gathering of interested parties. The $700,000 contract involves Jennings Construction's building 20 self-care units on this site off West Avenue in Cessnock. Eventually, there will be 67 such units and a 50-unit hostel for the retirement village. The cost of the project is being underwritten by the Freemasons Benevolent Institution of New South Wales, the chairman of which, Mr Frank Jeffrey, was in attendance today. Representing Jennings Constructions was the company's Newcastle manager, Mr Graham Richter, while Mr Robert Armstrong, in his capacity of development coordinator, also witnessed this green light stage for the Greater Cessnock retirement village.
we weren't much good at school. Setting 2 new records. He got 4 firsts and a second at the zone carnival and came second in the age champions, and he represented the zone at the regional carnival. And then we
try and move in that. Finest golfers that this country's produced.
She was also school age champion in the cross country. Congratulations to all those.
For the cross country presentations, 8.
Congratulations to those.
Joan and Nick Morton of Cardiff are now just over $666,000 richer. They share their win with 3 other syndicates, including an NFP from Beresfield. Nick and the Beresfield winner both work for the Water Board, but not today. Mrs. Joan Morton called her winning
just explain for me again.
Thinking, and she said the hardest part last night was waiting
the
for
hardest
official
part
confirmation.
of last night?
Oh, trying to sleep, of course, it's not knowing what you've won. As I say, when you win the lottery, you know you've either won your $500,000 or you've won your 60,000 of what. But when you with your lotto, you don't know whether you've won anything from say 200 to 2 million, whatever it was.
So how does it feel now?
Oh, good. I don't think it's really sunk in.
The Mortons have not decided what to do with their money. First, they'll pay off their house and take a trip overseas.
So we went off.
The group was addressed by the Lake Macquarie Council's Flood Committee. The committee is made up of 4 aldermen and the municipal engineer. The engineer, Mr Ivor Alones, told the meeting that little could be done to control the flooding. He said council is considering the construction of some mitigation structures, but added that its main intention was to keep development out of the floodplain and flood-prone areas. Council's decision to label properties which may flood only once in 100 years as flood-prone has angered some residents. They say the classification not only prevents them from subdividing their land, it also prevents them from reselling it. According to the residents, finance companies will not lend money to people for property defined as flood-prone.
Plus a clearance to allow for future development impacts.
Before the fight, the air was electric in the sailing club's packed auditorium. But for spectators eager for some exciting boxing, the match was a disappointment. Within minutes it was all over. Larry Tattoo was knocked out just before the bell in the third 3-minute round. But fighting in the ring no sooner ended before punches were being thrown in the audience. Before organisers had a chance to declare the Tongan Maili Hamona the winner, the glass was hurled through the air and a scuffle broke out.
Don't cut it out, come on. The fight's over, me and Mona won the fight, fair and square, so don't let's have any rubbish, eh? Come on, don't be silly. The fight's been fought and won, so let's cut it out, eh? Sit down and have a beer.
Search for Santa once again shows the fertile imaginations of the 2 till 5 theatre group at work, but this time I think perhaps they've included a few too many elements in a show that is basically directed towards the very young. The main theme is, of course, the search for a missing Santa, and this gives the young cast the opportunity to explore lots of different people and places. These include some monsters, television characters and nursery rhyme favourites, but they weren't always tied in firmly enough with the idea of a search. All the scenes were exciting, funny and interesting, but I think at times some of the younger fry had a problem working out just what was going on. Nevertheless, there are enough laughs and excitement to keep children listening and seated for the 55-minute length, and there's a surprise ending that brought a glow to the faces of both the children and the mothers. You can see Search for Santa Monday to Friday at 6, and with final performances Saturday 11 and 2.
All 400 members of the Australian Federated Union of Locomotive Engine Men in Newcastle are on an indefinite strike, bringing all rail services here to a halt. The men vowed at a mass meeting today not to return to work until one of their colleagues is reinstated. The driver was suspended yesterday after he refused to take the flyer to Sydney without the train being inspected. The inspection did not take place because of a 24-hour strike by examiners who were protesting against planned manpower cutbacks by the SRA. While the examiners are now back on the job, no trains are moving because all drivers and observers are out.
The State Rail Authority, and of course its paying customers, will be in for a torrid time over the next couple of months over its plans to rationalise the whole rail system throughout New South Wales. It's finding massive union opposition and neither side appears prepared to back down. And so at this stage, it wouldn't be a real great idea to be relying on a train to take you on your Christmas holiday trip.
The AFURE members still on strike have granted no exemptions to their action. Honeysuckle Goods Yard is holding a trainload of fruit which had been bound for the Flemington markets in Sydney. The perishable cargo will now have to be thrown out. As well, a milk train is stranded at Broadmeadow and the Parcel Express to the northwest is holding boxes of day-old chickens and a greyhound dog. The meeting between the unions and the SRA in Sydney has ended with no certainty over whether the statewide stoppage will happen or not. But with no local services and all long-distance trains out of Sydney cancelled, there'll definitely be no trains in the north.
The Heard Island expedition is a private expedition which will give a multidisciplinary group the chance to satisfy their interests in the Antarctic region. The group will reach the island on a chartered yacht, Anaconda 2, and will then spend 6 freezing weeks involved in activities that range from mountaineering to a series of medical experiments. Newcastle Med student Michael Golding flies out to join the team next week.
The weather you're going to strike in a few weeks' time is going to be somewhat different to this.
Yes, I expect so. The It'd be nice to have sunshine like this all the time, but I think it's going to be raining, wet and cold and be a bit miserable.
You talked about an average temperature of 0. That's really worse than being down in the sub-zero temperatures of Antarctica, is it?
It'd be better if it was 5 degrees either way. If it was 5 degrees colder, then everything freezes, and so you don't get wet.
Yeah.
When it's 5 degrees above 0, then you can cope with the water. But when it's freezing and then not freezing, it's terrible.
When you talk about the conditions, it's hard to understand why so many people would want to go, in fact pay to go, to experience it. Why?
That's a question a lot of people have been asked over the years. Edmund Hillary is a classic comment because it's there. I don't know if that really applies to me. I think it's something deep down a lot of people would like to go to Antarctica.